إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله عز وجل في القرآن المجيد: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. صدق الله العظيم. أما بعد. We begin by praising Allah. Allah is deserving of all praise, not just a few times in the year when it's a special occasion, but every single day and every single moment of our lives. We praise Allah because He is worthy of that. We thank Him for all the things that we have been given. We seek His help. We ask for His forgiveness for all the mistakes that we've made. And whomever Allah guides, nobody can misguide that person. And whomever Allah causes to go astray or allows to go astray, nobody can bring that person back. Respected brothers and sisters, this is the month of Hajj. The month in the Islamic lunar calendar is known as Dhul Hijjah. It has just started. Last night at Maghrib time, started today. And Dhul Hijjah is the last month in the Islamic calendar. And what it means, Dhu means the possessor of, Hajj, Hijjah from Hajj means Hajj. This is the month of Hajj. The month is named after Hajj itself. But what is Hajj? Hajj is a pilgrimage that we're supposed to take to Mecca at least once in our lifetime. But Hajj is much more than that. It's much more than just a ritual. It's much more than just doing a certain actions or something like that. We need to try to understand what the moral behind the story of the origin of Hajj actually is, and what the moral behind the story of the month in which we're in right now. What is the background? What is the story? What are we supposed to learn? So let us take a look at that story from the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran about Prophet Ibrahim. Prophet Ibrahim is known as Abraham in English. He's mentioned in the Old Testament and in the Bible and the books of the Jews. And they say they have a specific date when he lived. As Muslims, we don't know if that's fully accurate, but he definitely lived thousands of years ago. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala quotes Prophet Ibrahim in the Quran saying, Rabbi habli min as-salihin. He says, my Lord, grant me a righteous child. Grant me a child that is from among the righteous people. So what is Prophet Ibrahim asking for? This is a messenger of God who's already received revelation, considered to be one of the greatest prophets that have ever lived. So he asks Allah, oh Allah, I would like to have a righteous child. This is what he asks for. So now, why do people ask for this, right? Why do people ask for children? Well, those of you who like kids, hopefully everyone likes kids, it's a comfort to their heart when they see their children grow up, they play with them, they're able to instruct them, they're able to teach them. And also, even from a purely materialistic perspective, people have this idea that their own legacy in life can live on through their children. When they pass away, their children are actually like kind of part of their own reflection. So they're going to kind of represent the parents, and the parents in a sense kind of their spirit or their message or their mission in life or their cares and concerns in life is supposed to continue on. So Prophet Ibrahim made the same dua for a similar reason, and also because he wanted that righteousness that he embodied in his own life to continue. So he asked for a righteous child. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded, and He tells a story in a nutshell. He gives the summary of the story. And He says, فَبَشَّرْنَاهُ بِغُلَامٍ حَلِيمٍ. We gave him the good news that he's going to have a patient child. What did he ask for? He asked for a righteous child. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? We're going to give you a patient child. He didn't ask for a patient child, although patience is part of righteousness, right? Now, this quality of Halim that he described, he said, you're going to have a child. And this child, we're going to find out later in the story, is Ismail or Ishmael. And this child is going to have a special characteristic that has been given to him. Now, there's different characteristics that human beings have that are considered to be virtuous. He could have said, we've given him a ghulam aqil, an intelligent child. People would like their children to be intelligent. So he said, but he didn't say that. He didn't say you're getting an intelligent child, although he was intelligent anyways. He didn't say you're getting a powerful child, a qawi, like a strong child who's going to be tough and he's going to be able to be a leader or something like that. He didn't say that. The one specific quality that was mentioned was that he's going to be halim. He is going to be forbearing, meaning he's going to be patient in the face of adversity, in the face of calamity. When he goes through some difficult challenge, he's going to be able to deal with that in a certain way in which many other people would not be able to handle it. And it's very important to understand that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this characteristic or this category of being halim, being forbearing, being patient, being able to resist, certain temptations, deal with challenges in life, this is something that we have to learn from. We have to understand that having patience in adversity is a part of righteousness. It's part of being salih. It's part of being upright. It's part of being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because when people are put through tests, that's when you show, or when they show what they're really made of. People can talk a good talk. People can put on a good display. But when some challenge comes in their life, they're stricken with some disease. They're stricken with poverty. They're stricken with calamity in their family. Something happens to one of their family members that they're embarrassed about or something like that. That becomes the challenge. That becomes the test for them. Are they going to start getting upset? Are they going to change their character? Are they going to start yelling and shouting and saying, why Allah, why did this have to happen? This is a characteristic that's very virtuous and is tied to the story of the sacrifice of Prophet Ibrahim and Ismail. And then he says, the next part of the story, he says, فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعِي. So he says, that child Ismail, when he was born, Prophet Ibrahim's son, said when the boy was old enough to work with his father, قَالَ يَا بُنَيَّ إِنِّي أَرَى فِي الْمَنَامِ أَنِّي أَذْبَحُكَ. His father said that, oh my son, I've had a vision. So what does it mean he's old enough to work with his father? It means he reached an age, and this is all before, child, labor and all that stuff that we talk about today. When you get old enough and you can walk around with your father and, you can work and do some physical work and help him, maybe carry his axe and they're going to chop wood or something like that. You're doing some labor. So he grew up old enough. He's not a little kid anymore. Now he's actually at an age where he has some rationality. He has some sense of independence, some sense of accountability. Meaning he's not just a child anymore, he can make decisions. So once he reached that age, his father said to him, oh my dear son, inni ara fil manam. I have seen in a vision that I am supposed to slaughter you. Meaning I'm supposed to actually sacrifice you. Now, let us pause for a moment and look at this. Okay? First of all, Ibrahim is a prophet and a messenger of God. He's already received the revelation. He already knows this. His family knows this. His community knows this, the ones that are following him. So he's a messenger of God. This is not some random person who's just having some dream. This is not just a dream. This is a vision of a prophet is considered to be a revelation. So all the prophets who've received revelation, Prophet Nuh received revelation from Allah. Prophet Adam received revelation. Prophet Isa, Prophet Jesus received revelation. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon all of them, received revelation. So this is not some random dream. This is revelation coming down to Prophet Ibrahim, where he's being instructed by God, by Allah, that he's supposed to perform this action. Now imagine what's going on in his mind, right? This is the child he's been waiting for. This is the one thing that he wanted the most in life. And this was the only child at this time, according to the biblical reference. And this child is so beloved to him, and he's walking around, helping his father around, everything is going great, father and son are working, all of that stuff, family, everything is fine. And then he says, I have seen in a vision, meaning a vision from Allah, I've been inspired by Allah, by God, that I'm supposed to perform this sacrifice. And then what does he say? فَانظُرْ مَاذَا تَرَى. I want to know what you think. Just look at that. This is a prophet of Allah, a messenger of Allah, and saying, you know what, I want to know what your opinion is. What do you think? Now, many parents, what would they do? They'd be like, you know what, hey, you know what, let me tell you something. Whether you like it or you don't like it, I'm a prophet and Allah told me to do this. So it really doesn't matter what you think. If you want to express your opinion, go ahead, but it's going to happen anyways, no matter what. This is a style. This is a way of getting to see, hey, are you willing to do this yourself? What do you think about what's happening? I want to know what your opinion is. And if you compare this, by the way, with what's mentioned in the Bible, in the Old Testament, completely different story, completely different wording, which leads towards a different understanding. But in the Quran, it has cleaned up that part of the story. It has corrected that part of the story in saying that he asked his son, tell me what you think. What is your opinion regarding this? And what did his son respond? He says, قَالَ يَا أَبَتِ افْعَلْ مَا تُؤْمَرُ. Says, my father, do what you have been commanded. Now why? This is his putting his own life on the line. His own life is basically going to be taken away. And he says, I'm ready to die. Why? Because he is a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he is a believer in his father because he knows his father, based upon his character, based upon everything that he's seen. He knows his father is a real messenger of God. This is not for no other father is going to come and make this claim. They should never make this claim. We'll put him in the loony house or something like that. This is not going to happen. But this is a prophet of Allah, and this is a child who has been raised by his father and by his parents to be a true believer in Allah, who not only believes in his father, but is ready to sacrifice his own life for God, for Allah. And he says, I'm ready. سَتَجِدُنِي إِن شَاءَ اللَّهُ مِنَ الصَّابِرِينَ. He says, you will find me, God willing, among the patient. What a beautiful statement. He said, you're going to find, like, you know what? If this is what God really wants, if this is what He wants to be done, your vision is correct, you've understood it in the correct way, we're going to put our trust in God and watch. You're going to find me, I am patient. Insha'Allah. He used the word Insha'Allah. You know why? Think about that. He is saying himself, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm ready to do. But I don't know what's going to happen when push comes to shove. I don't know what's going to happen when I'm really, laid down on the floor and a knife comes out, and what's going to happen? I don't know. I'm going to change my mind. So we always should say, Insha'Allah, even when we're doing some act of obedience, we say, I'm ready. I'm ready to serve Allah. I'm ready to pray. Insha'Allah. Because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how your heart is going to change. You don't know how whispers and temptations are going to come your way. So you always put your trust in Allah. You say, Insha'Allah, if God wills, if something doesn't stop me, then I'm going to continue this. Now, this is a huge test for Ismail. He's giving up his life. And this is a huge test for Ibrahim. He's ordered to sacrifice his own child, who he made dua for. A very challenging thing. So what the lesson, the moral of this story is that Allah wants to see what people are willing to sacrifice for Allah's cause. This is a test. This is life. This is not paradise. So we're going to be tested. I'm going to be tested. You're going to be tested. Sometimes with small things, sometimes with big things. This is a huge test for them. And one of the tests, when we read this story, we have a test as well. And one of our tests is to be very careful to reserve judgment before jumping to a conclusion when interpreting the Quran. Because one of the tests that we face, particularly in a society with liberal values, and most of us kind of grew up in California, or we've lived here in America for a long time, one of the challenges that you find is that people, they read this story, and when they read this story, they think their moral compass snaps in and they go, this is immoral, this is murder, how could he go and kill someone like that? If some random person has a dream, they're allowed to go and kill their son? Whoa, hold on. Just stop for a moment. Just try to process the entire story before jumping to a conclusion. That's the test for many people today, is that when they're reading, they hear something like this, they jump to a quick conclusion, some moral problem that's taking place here. Understand the rest of the story. No one is saying this is applying to all people across the board. No one is saying that if some random father has some kind of dream or something like that, we shouldn't lock him away in, in insane asylum or something like that. This is specifically a prophet, messenger of God, number one. Number two, this is a child who is willingly believing in his father, and he becomes a prophet and messenger of God himself. We're being told the story after everything has taken place, not during it's taking place. You don't have a moral decision to make in terms of, I need to go and stop them. We need to go and call the police so this stops. It's a different story. Allah is not telling you the story in the middle so that you can call the police. Allah is telling you the story after it happened, so you need to get to the end of the story before you actually make a moral judgment. Before you start making a judgment and deciding this is wrong or this is right. That's a test that many people have today. So we have many different tests. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ. He says, when they both had submitted to God, and he laid his son down on the side of his face, meaning he was ready to undergo the action. Now the wording is very interesting. It's فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا. Aslama means to submit or to surrender. That's where the word Islam comes from. Aslama yuslimu, Islaman is the masdar, the root. A lot of people, they say, oh, Islam means peace, comes from salima, salam means peace, therefore Islam means peace. The actual root, it comes from a root that's connected to peace, but the actual root is surrender. It means submission. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that they both submitted themselves to Allah. They surrendered themselves to Allah, meaning that they did not want to do this. They did not feel comfortable at all. Ismail is not comfortable giving up his life. Ibrahim is not comfortable giving up his son. But this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seemed to want. So they said, we're willing to sacrifice. We're willing to give everything up. The thing that's most beloved in our lives, we're ready to give it up. Now Prophet Ibrahim was already elder. For him, probably, this was more valuable than his own life. He would rather take his own life than take his son's life. That's what happens to parents, especially when they get older, they're so attached to their children. So both of them are willing to give up the most important thing in their life for Allah. And then he says, وَنَادَيْنَاهُ أَن يَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ. Then we called out to him. Allah is saying, we called out to him, meaning like stop. Right when he's about to do that, the child is already down on the floor, a knife comes out, says stop. Ya Ibrahim, oh Ibrahim, قَدْ صَدَّقْتَ الرُّؤْيَا. You have already fulfilled the vision. You've already passed the test. You have fulfilled what we wanted you to fulfill. إِنَّا كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And this is how we reward those people who do good. Meaning, we just wanted to see if you were going to do it. Now, if Allah told Ibrahim in the beginning, by the way, we're just going to test to see if you're going to go through the motions, and then we're going to stop you afterwards, would that be a test? That wouldn't be a test. Right? If a teacher comes and gives you the answers, say, I'm going to give you a really difficult test. And by the way, here's all the answers to the test. You can just keep it next to you. That's not a test, right? So Allah didn't tell him in advance. But when we're hearing the story, when we're making a moral judgment on the story, we already know the answer at the end. We're given the answers because we're not in the middle of the test. We're supposed to learn as an example from the test that they went through. There's a big difference between the two. So don't put yourself in the scenario and start judging and all that stuff. I'm just mentioning that because I hear a lot of people going through challenges with that. So he says, you have fulfilled this vision. And this is how we reward people who do good. So now he did not need to complete the test. And they ransomed him with another sacrifice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ هَذَا لَهُوَ الْبَلَاءُ الْمُبِينَ. This was a clear test. This was just a clear test for them. And a difficult test. Just to prove. Why is Allah test? Some people will come along and say, well, what does Allah get out of testing us? It's to prove your merit. What do teachers get out of testing you? You know, imagine people get stressed out, they're sitting there and they're sweating in the classroom and they studied a little bit, they could have studied more, and they're sitting there and then they find out the test is a little bit more difficult than they thought. Do they start complaining, wow, what does this teacher get out of torturing me? You go into the emotional state and you start blaming your teacher, why are they doing this to me? I hate this teacher. This is what some Muslims will do. So some human beings will do. While they're in the middle of the test, why is Allah doing this to me? You're like that child in school, sitting there blaming your teacher. The purpose of the test is to show your virtue, is to show what you're made of, to show all the claims that you've made about yourself. Yeah, Allah already knows. Probably most teachers, honestly, I'm a teacher as well. We just had our final exams. I know pretty much most of my students, I already know what grades they're going to get. But you still got to give them the test. I can tell who's going to be in the 90s and who's going to be in the 70s and who's going to be in the 60s. Most teachers will know. Right? Allah knows as well with 100% certainty. But you still got to take the test to manifest it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala finished this test for them. He said, وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ, and we ransomed him with another sacrifice. Meaning that we said, okay, this is done. We never wanted you to. We just wanted to see what was going to happen. We didn't need you to kill another human being for this purpose. But you know what? Here's an animal. Go ahead and sacrifice this other animal. There was a ram there or a sheep or something like that. And what happens is Muslims, until that time, we are reenacting the practice of Prophet Ibrahim, partly in the Hajj and partly in the sacrifice that's going to be coming up. But the idea, the purpose behind all of this is that this is a test. And what we need to understand is that when you are given a test in life, and we're all given tests, sacrifice is part of the requirement. And sometimes you're asked to sacrifice a little, and sometimes you're asked to sacrifice a lot. And one of the problems that we have in our culture, in our society, in this world in which we live in today, is that when you live with a lot of luxuries, and you're used to such a comfortable life, little tests become huge things for you. So we were in a heat wave, kind of like in California, right? It was like hitting 100 degrees. And when someone's air conditioner broke, you start flipping out. I can't believe this is burning hot. How am I supposed to survive like this? And just going crazy. And this is what happens. Such a small thing. What you forget is that air conditioners were invented less than 100 years ago. That means for the entire humanity, all of these thousands of years that human beings have lived, they've never experienced anything like an air conditioner. The wealthiest king, the Fir'aun, the Pharaoh, and all these other kings and everyone else, the best they could have is like what? 5 servants, fanning them down or something like that. It's not even as good as an air conditioner, right? And yet, we have that luxury and we complain about the smallest things. So what we need to understand and what we need to remember is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test us. And sometimes we need to sacrifice our own personal comfort. Maybe you need to sacrifice the $5 cup of coffee you buy every day. Maybe you need to sacrifice checking what's Facebook and Snapchat every single morning because you become too busy and you cannot connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to come back to Allah. We need to become better Muslims in this season, in this time, and we need to eliminate the excuses, and we may have to sacrifice some time, we may have to sacrifice some money, but we can do it because we have examples and role models from the people in the past. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us and guide us at all times. Ameen. Astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa li sa'iril muslimin fastaghfiruhu innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, wa ba'd. Brothers and sisters, we are in the month of Dhul Hijjah, and the first 10 days of this month are extra special. The 10th day is going to be the day of Eid, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. But you can say the first 9 days before Eid, right? Starting today is the first of Dhul Hijjah. It is highly, highly recommended to perform extra deeds of worship, to perform extra prayers, to come to the masjid more, to give charity, to fast more. If you can fast all the days or some days, just do as much as you can. And also to be careful about using profanity, using bad language. Watch out for those movies that have nudity, nude scenes and stuff coming up. You'd be like, I look away, right? Well, in this month, don't just look away, just put those movies out. Netflix can wait till later, right? This is a special time. Try and remove those songs that have bad words when you're listening to them. Try to listen to more Quran. These are not special days that we're in right now. So this is what is required for us. This is what is highly, highly recommended for us. The second thing is that there are some scholars who've said that you should not cut your hair or cut your nails. There's a difference of opinion among the scholars on this. So if you do it, that's fine, and if you don't do it, that's also fine. There's no need to get into big debates about that or discussions about that. My personal opinion is that it's okay to cut your hair and your nails. On the 9th day of Dhul Hijjah, which is going to be known as the day of Arafah, it is highly, highly recommended to fast. And this is a very, very important thing. The Prophet, peace be upon him, highly encouraged this fast, so you should do that. And on the 10th day, there's going to be Eid. And Eid is going to be on Sunday the 11th. Okay, so the day of Arafah, which is the day you're supposed to fast, is on Saturday, the 10th of August. The day of Eid is on Sunday, the 11th of August. And the prayers are going to be held here for this masjid at IAOC. The first shift of prayers is going to be at 7 a.m. The second shift is going to be at 8:30 a.m. And there's going to be extra parking at Skechers from 6 to 9:45 a.m. So make sure your car is parked only between those times. So yeah, that is what we have here. Also, I'm going to be leaving for Hajj, inshallah, tomorrow, also with Sheikh Muhammad Faqih. And I'm going to be gone the entire month of August. So inshallah, please keep me in your du'as. I will keep you all in my du'as. And if you need any, religious matters or anything like that, you can come and see the office and they will direct you towards another religious scholar, inshallah ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us and guide us at all times. O Allah, forgive our sins and our mistakes. O Allah, help us to see the true message of Prophet Ibrahim and Ismail and all of your prophets in their true light. O Allah, help us to remove the doubts and misunderstandings that we have about Islam. O Allah, forgive those people who have passed away. O Allah, help those people who are ill and those who are suffering. O Allah, help keep our families to remain strong. O Allah, help keep our youth firmly in the path of this religion. O Allah, help us as a community be a strong community. O Allah, help us to only do that which will please you and keep us away from doing anything which would displease you. Ameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Few more announcements. Few more announcements. So we have FFN tonight, family program at 8:15. It's going to be the story of Dhul Qarnayn with Sheikh Ahsan Sayyid from King Fahd Mosque. And we also have an IAOC Eid picnic. It's going to be on Sunday at August 18th at Yorba Regional Park. And you could buy your tickets in the office, inshallah. Wa qim as-salam.